Hi everyone. If you have money and you want to raise capital, just invest. Suppose that you have 500 million Vietnam dong. How you will invest it to raise your capital, I will show you exactly in the next chapter. To make investment decision, you need to identify investment goal, available capital, your degree of risk tolerance, time and duration of your investment. And then second step is to pick the financial instruments such as bond, stocks, or treasury bill, and so on. And then the last step is to build up your portfolio to achieve your investment goal. But picking up a financial instrument to invest is not an easy decision. Firstly, you will need to analyze the market, analyze the industry, and take a look at the financial health of a company. And then I will show you exactly how I analyzed and how I pick up the company in the next chapter. The market in 2022 is better than last year. The life is back after the pandemic, but the consequences of COVID-19 is still there. During COVID-19 pandemic, huge demand of goods from the US and the US government out of pocket have made the world supply stuck. In the context of supply chain disruption, prices in many other countries has to increase due to the lack of supply. And many markets are short of goods just because the US has priority. The consequences from the COVID-19 epidemic and the military conflict between Russia and Ukraine, inflation remained high, especially in Europe and in the US. Increasing interest rate tightened monetary and fiscal policies in many countries make the world economy more difficult. The Fed has raised interest rates 6 times as of November this year to prevent high inflation rate in the US. That caused the US dollar to rise and put pressure on many other foreign currencies. In Vietnam, the State Bank of Vietnam has increased the operating interest to reduce exchange rate differential. As a result, Vietnamese banks have increased interest rate to raise capital. This is not beneficial to businesses, as many investors are selling their shares and depositing their money in bank as an investment. Facing the global economic recession, the Vietnamese index has steadily declined, although the domestic macroeconomic situation is not pessimistic. Evidence is that the inflation rate in Vietnam is 4.39% in October 2022. This is much lower than inflation rate in many other countries in the world. And GDP growth of the country of the third quarter is 13.67%, but VN index has declined dramatically. So what is the reason? The reason is that investors psychologically take profits to protect earnings when unexpected factors emerge, leading to selling pressure in the market. In addition, the recent investigation and prosecution of several large real estate companies in connection with violations in the issuance of corporate bonds affected overall sentiment in the stock market, resulting in cautious investment sentiment and affecting cash flow in the market. Experts believe that the short-term liquidity shortages and crisis in investor confidence are the main reason for decline in the VN index. After analyzing the market, we then need to consider the industry we want to invest in. And the first industry I want to talk about is the retail consumer industry. The reason why I choose the retail consumer industry, food and drinks, is because in the economic recession, food and drinks are fundamental demand. It's very essential to everyone. So is this industry gonna have a good growth during the economic recession, according to my assessment. In the 10 months of 2022, according to General Statistic Office, total retail sales of consumer goods and services in Vietnam increased by 20.2% from the same period last year. Also in this year, we can observe tourism industry recover after the pandemic. The increasing number of tourists leads to an increase in the consumption of consumer goods such as food, drinks, and beverage products. Banking industry has shown recently bad news and good news. Bad news is that rising interest rate by the Fed, the dollar becoming more expensive, contracted liquidity along with rising interbank interest rate last month leads to a higher cost of raising capital for banks. But good news is that many investors expect the state bank to expand the lending room to meet the capital needs so that bank can get profits in the last 6 months. Just like banking industry, steel industry have positive side and negative side. Firstly, political conflict between Russia and Ukraine along with difficulties in global economy has led to a drop in demand which is affecting Vietnamese steel exports. The decline in export is leading to an increase in domestic supply and competition between companies in the same industry in the domestic market. And moreover, China is currently Vietnam's second largest export market, but this country is pursuing the zero COVID policy, which leads to a decline in demand of steel products. So the revenues of steel industry is expected to decrease in this year. And the positive news is that in Vietnamese market, the Prime Minister called for accelerating the disbursement of public investment capital in 2022. As a result, the steel market still has growth potential in the domestic market. If the disbursement of investment capital is focused on infrastructure construction, which was heavily used at the end of the year, key projects such as North-South Highway, Long Thanh International Airport, construction of the Ring Road in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. In Ho Chi Minh City, three highway construction projects will support steel market demand. In addition, the EU's bans on Russian oil imports from December will exacerbate the energy shortages in the region. So the EU will need to find alternative energy sources. So cheaper steel suppliers from Asia will become more attractive to EU. Having 500 million Vietnam dong as capital, I prefer high-risk investment and consider the investment as long-term investment. I decided to allocate 500 million Vietnam dong in corporate shares. In the scenario of economic recession, higher inflation rate, higher interest rate, food and beverage industry is good investment channel because food and drink are fundamental demand and essential for everyone. So I will allocate 45% of capital in Vinamilk, 35% in Masan Group, and the rest 20% in Hoa Phát Group. Vinamilk is leading nutrition company in Vietnam and currently ranks 36 on the list of the world's largest dairy companies in terms of revenue. Vinamilk has expanded its size to 46 units, including one head office, 5 branches, 16 factories, 14 dairy farms, 2 logistics centers, and 8 subsidiaries, at home and abroad. The company manufactures more than 200 products, including milk, fresh milk, yogurt, condensed milk, sugar, cheese, drink yogurt, and soft drinks. Masan Group Masan Group Joint Stock Company was established in November 2004 under the name of Masan Maritime Joint Stock Company. The company has diversified business portfolio, including food retailing sector, banking sector, manufacture of high-tech materials. Masan Group holds 54.8% of share of Masan Food and 19.99% of share of Techcombank, one of the largest commercial banks in Vietnam. Hoa Phát is a leading industrial manufacturing group in Vietnam, originating as a construction machine and equipment trading company in August 1992. Hoa Phát has gradually expanded its business to trading and production of furniture, steel pipe, steel refrigerator, real estate, and agriculture. Currently, the group operates in 5 sectors: iron and steel, steel products, agriculture, real estate, and home appliance. Steel production are core, accounting for 90% of revenue and profit of the group, with the capacity of 5 million tons of crude steel in per year. Hoa Phát is the largest steel producer in Southeast Asia. To assess performance of a company, I will use revenue and profit growth, as well as some key financial ratios such as PE ratio, EPS, quick ratio, return on equity, and return on assets. So I will start with the performance of Vinamilk. On the left side of the chapter, we will see the revenue as well as the profit growth of the company from 2017 to 2021. Revenue of company grew up, but it did not show a massive growth because Vinamilk is major company. However, the company is blue chip stock and the default risk is quite low. So Vinamilk should be a safe investment for long run. On the right side, EPS, return on equity, and return on asset are higher than industry average ratios. Quick ratio are lower than industry average, which indicates that Vinamilk was not able to meet its short-term obligation very well. This may be due to the large number of its inventory. How was the performance of Masan Group in the past? In the past, revenue of the group increased through 5 years. The company had the highest jump in revenue in 2020. And in 2021, revenue grows, but it's not very impressive. It's interesting to see the lowest profit despite of a massive growth in revenue of the group in 2020. Acquisition of e-commerce by the group could be the reason for the lower profit in 2020. PE ratios of the company are higher than industry average. It's good and bad at the same time. It's good because investors expect a higher return from the company. So many investors expect that the company will have more potential and give more return in the future. But high PE ratio is bad for investor because investor must pay more for each dollar earning. EPS and ROE are higher than industry average ratios. ROA and quick ratio are lower than industry average ratios. Generally, Masan did not show a good performance at Vinamilk, but in a scenario of economic recession and political conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, retail consumer food industry had more potential. Moreover, Masan Group implemented a lot of M&A recently to expand and diversify their business, which put more potential for the future. Hoa Phat Group revenue grew up constantly from 2017 to 2021. Especially last year, the revenue of the group grew up almost by 66% compared to 2020. EPS, ROE, and ROA of Hoa Phat Group are higher than industry average, which indicates the higher return for investor, and Hoa Phat used their asset and equity financing to generate profit efficiently from 2018 to 2021. Although the performance of Hoa Phat in recent months is not good, declining in share price is a sign to buy. Hoa Phat Group is one of the biggest steel manufacturers in Vietnam. In the past, Hoa Phat Group had a good performance and was one of the most favorite shares in the market. However, the economic recession as well as zero-COVID policy of China put pressure on steel industry this year, which causes the declining of the company in 2022. A lot of investors still expect the development of the company in the future. Obvious evidence is that the foreign investors have net bought of Hoa Phat shares worth a total of nearly 850 billion dong this sixth consecutive session in November 2022. That is how I built a portfolio, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.